Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPLGraduates, and welcome back to, another review show. Game week 4, the international break's done, at least for a couple more weeks. So we've got time to review our FPL Game week 4. And maybe, I know Josh said on TikTok, no UCL talk, but we might have to dip into our UCL teams at some point, mightn't we, Josh?
Yeah, it's coming up to the deadline, so we've got to treat you a bit of both for this episode. But yeah, it's going to be a slightly shortened one because we know we are rushed for time with the United game kicking off at 5:45. I thought it was 6, but clearly I didn't check the time.
Yeah, so a good job there. And we'll go into my team first because, let's face it, I haven't had a great week this week. It's my first red arrow of the season, which, to be honest, I can't believe it's taken me this long to get one because, we started off relatively well, but, everyone had great game weeks for the first one. So our first red arrow of the year, 55 points. I mean, it's not bad. And the reason I got a red arrow is because I didn't have Ronaldo or Lukaku in my teams. So we'll start off in goal. Meslier, wasn't expecting too many points from him. Still accumulated a save point though. So, not too bad. Leeds got a fantastic run coming up, and I can anticipate them going on a good run of form. We've seen them a bit out of form recently. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that Leeds team going forwards. Alexander-Arnold, I mean, there's a reason that you should be keeping him in this team is because, he's created the most chances out of anyone in the league. And for me, he's more essential than, Bruno, a Salah, a Lukaku or Ronaldo. He's that key in FPL this season, being so cheap and matching the scores of the likes of Mo Salah. Reguilon in defence. Tottenham were due to implode defensively, and it happened this week. They were terrible throughout. Maybe, hopefully, it's a kick up the backside that they need. I don't anticipate Reguilon being in my starting 11 for the next couple of game weeks, but, it's disappointing. We have to move on from that, though, don't we? Ben White, again, I called the clean sheet for Arsenal. They got the clean sheet. White with 5 points. I don't mind that at all. Looked pretty good as well in the game, producing some few good diagonal balls. And I think we could see a couple of assists. If Pepe starts getting shooting beats, right, there's a chance there in that game for him to potentially get an assist. But we take the 5 points nonetheless. And the same with Luke Shaw. To be honest, doesn't really affect rank either way, whether he returns or not at this point. He's so highly owned. Rafinha in midfield, he came off my bench, and he was the one first on my bench who blocked Livramento's 6-pointer, which is a bit annoying, but we move on. Bruno 8-pointer. I mean, I said he's going to return no matter what. You get him out of your team, he's still returned. Yes, he didn't return as many as Ronaldo, but I definitely do take an 8-pointer at like 30% EO. Ben Rama, disappointing. One that I'm kind of looking on my radar to get out in the next few weeks, for sure, with West Ham's loads of fixtures coming up. Europa League, Carabao Cup, Vlasic coming into that West Ham side. I can see rotation there. The captain choice for me this week was Mo Salah. It was the correct one. I was pondering between Salah and Fernandes. In the end, didn't really matter which one I picked. Could have picked either of them. And then up front, it was a bit of a stinker situation. Antonio with a red card and out for one game now, and Ivan Toney up front. Again, with another 2-pointer. And on the bench, Mahrez, again, another disappointment. Livramento is frustrating. We know those 4 million defenders, if they sit on your bench, they'll probably get a return every once in a while, and it was that time there. Bit frustrating. Josh, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, your team, it just needs a bit of TLC, doesn't it? You got 2 free transfers heading into Game Week 5. The likes of Mahrez, Toney. You could probably bench Antonio because you got a bit of depth with your team, but those two specifically probably need to get gone. Mahrez is just, every time you think he's going to start, he never does. Pep's not changed his lineup for like the first time in I think 5 years, for 4 times in a row or something like that. So yeah, it's unheard of circumstances, but yeah, I think a little bit of TLC is needed.
Definitely. It's interesting that you say Antonio could probably be benched, because I've had a little play around, and Antonio could be one of those players to go in my team, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll go into your team next, Josh. You had a lot better week this week, didn't you?
Yeah, it weren't too bad for me. 71 points overall. If I zoom in a little bit. Melier as well in goal. Like we said, we weren't expecting much from the first 4 weeks, but after this, they're going a good run, and I'm excited to own him. Again, he just makes a lot of saves, and that's the main thing. A lot of people are slandering the Melier pit, but I think in a few weeks we'll see him come good. Luke Shaw with the assist. Again, United somehow not keeping a clean sheet against lesser opposition. I think they're there. They are coming, but it's just a matter of time. Trent, again, £7.5 million. If he's a midfielder, everyone's saying he's an absolute bargain. So he's always going to be in my team. Shane Duffy with the clean sheet for Brighton, trying to cover that Sanchez points because he is so highly owned. It's crazy. Ayling came off my bench due to Simicast not playing, but I thought I'd risk it and maybe start him, see if Robertson got rotated. So yeah, 1 point, it could have been a lot worse, to be honest. Leeds were pretty dreadful in that game, let's be honest. Sarr, disappointing that he didn't get any returns, but Wolves look really, really decent. I think they're a team to target if you're maybe wildcarding at the minute. Ben Rama, I think I'll keep him, especially for the next couple of weeks. I need to try and cover Antonio if I'm going to probably get him out this week. So yeah, he's going to stay for now. Bruno, 8-pointer. Nice to see his expected ownership down, as you mentioned, Ben. 30%, 40%. It's really, really decent. Salah, 8 points. He negatively affected me this week because of his ownership, because so many people captained him, but I'm happy with him only scoring the 1 goal and not being able to get any bonus points. Up top, Ronaldo captain, made the decision. Sarr and Ronaldo in, and that was it paid off massively. Him and Lukaku both scoring 13 points. Very, very nice return, and nice to see him back in United shirt. Antonio, the -1. Stuff like that happens all the time on the FPL. I think a -1's not too bad considering he got sent off. So, yeah, he is definitely going to be the guy who's coming out of my team this week, just because I just can't afford to have him benched and play someone else. As you can see, my bench is not very good at all. It's definitely something I'll look to improve on when I do wildcard, but that will not be this week as my team's doing well. Ranked currently 34,000 in the world, so a green arrow this week, which is decent.
Yeah, I mean, I went up to about 300k, so it's not looking too good at the moment for me. But like I said, a lot of people have been in a lot worse situations before and even finished higher than potentially Josh is right now. So that now is not really a time to panic. Plenty of time, isn't it, to kind of turn things around. And let's talk about that a little bit more, turning it around, because transfers, I think, are going to be a key sort of aspect of the next couple of game weeks, especially with Carabao Cup fixtures for teams that are playing in Europe, as well as the obvious Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League now. So there's more teams involved midweek. Should we get into the sort of transfers that I'm thinking at the moment, and then we'll move on to your one?
Go for it.
So if we look at my team right now, I obviously need to get one of Lukaku or Ronaldo in. Now, my thought process behind this is Lukaku. I'm thinking Lukaku over Ronaldo at the moment. I like Lukaku against that Tottenham defence next week. And obviously they got City the week after, and then they got a great run of fixtures. Now, I think for the majority of people, if you don't have either of them in now, it's probably worth getting in Lukaku, because then you don't have to make an additional transfer. If you transferred in Ronaldo now, and then you'd have to transfer in Lukaku for the greater fixtures. So I think Lukaku has to go in now. So I'll show you what I was looking at doing now if I wanted to use the 2 free transfers. So I was going to go Antonio out. It's the easiest way. Mahrez out. In comes Lukaku. Let me just find him. There. And it gives me, I'd probably not spend the 5 million, probably spend 4.5 on someone like Sissoko of Watford or someone like that. The other option I have is obviously getting Bruno Fernandes out as well, and then buying a couple of mid to higher premium options, such as you could probably fit in Jota and Ferran Torres in there, or someone around that price point for a -4 hit. Josh, what are your thoughts? Is the first option, just using the 2 free transfers, a sensible one to go for, or is it worth that risk taking that -4, but then not having any United coverage potentially?
Yeah, I think you'll need United coverage for the next couple of weeks. Although the fixtures on the FDR don't look great, like with West Ham, etc., they will be decent fixtures. No Antonio, West Ham, so United are going to be on the front foot for a high majority of that game. I think they've got Everton as well. So these fixtures aren't bad fixtures, especially with the team United have now. They are one of those super teams at the top of the league that I feel that can beat most teams. So Yeah, I think having United coverage is important. I think you're choosing the right striker, though, with Lukaku. That Newcastle game was a big factor into bringing Ronaldo in for my team. If they were facing someone like a West Ham, Lukaku would have been the guy I brought in. And also, you save £1 million as well. If you went for Ronaldo, you probably wouldn't be able to afford it because obviously you can't get a 4 million midfielder. So, yeah, good decision. I think Lukaku could even score against Spurs at Man City, like you mentioned. So he is going to be a great option. And someone who I'm looking at, but how can I fit him in on free transfers? I have no clue.
Yeah, so we'll go into sort of your free transfers or the transfers that you're kind of planning to make. Mm-hmm. You're in a good spot at the moment in terms of your points. Do you start taking risks, or do you keep it really, really safe with the transfers that you're making?
I think for me this year, I'm avoiding hits at all costs. I could have hit last week and got Simicast out and got maybe Ben White in, but as we saw, Ben White only scored 5 points. I would have took the hit, and obviously Luke Ayling got 1, so it's a neutral 0. I wouldn't have made any progress, I wouldn't have lost any progress. So for me, I think unless it's a massive transfer, like I'm transferring in a Lukaku or a Son or someone of that ilk, I'm not going to take a hit this season. I took far too many last season. I feel like that's why I did have a terrible finish. For me this week, though, I'll be looking at getting rid of Antonio. As I mentioned earlier in the video, can't afford to keep him, unfortunately. I'd love to have the luxury of having him on my bench, but just can't do it. So, yeah, for me, the targets I'm looking at in that striker role, there's so many injuries and stuff like that. Obviously, no DCL. Bamford might have a hamstring problem. Wilson's out for the next few weeks as well. For me, I'm looking at Jimenez mainly. He's looked quite good. He's almost playing a false 9 kind of role when you look at the stats and the heat maps and stuff like that. But he's had a lot of shots in the box. I think it's like the 4th most in the league. Also looking at Richarlison as he's now playing up top for Everton. I know he didn't do much last night, but I think he could be an explosive asset. We saw in the first week he got a 12-pointer. He's blanked every week since then, but he's one of those who will go hot and cold. He's an interested asset. I think St. Maximan's also a good shout at 6.5 if I'm trying to save money. But yeah, there's loads of options. Who would you go for if you're just going for like a like replacement on Antonio?
It's a tough one because you would have before you would have said DCL easy, but now you kind of it's a bit up in the air. It's really tough because I don't see many options that I'd want to go for. I'd maybe be tempted by Neil Maupay of Brighton, although again, they've got some nice fixtures coming up, and maybe for those few weeks where we know DCL's out, where we know Antonio's out next week, you know, Maupay's fixtures are Leicester at home. Leicester haven't really kicked off and haven't really got going yet. Crystal Palace away. We know Palace are definitely improving, but could we still question mark whether they're defensively going to be as good? Tottenham didn't really test them, did they? No. Arsenal at home and then Norwich away. I mean, that's not a bad run of fixtures if you think about it. The only other one I'd consider is someone who, you know, guarantees goals no matter the opponent, potentially someone like Danny Ings. But again, you've only just transferred him out the last couple of weeks. Do you really want to bring him in again at the cost of a free transfer? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I feel like a lot of people probably fall into the same category as me this week. If I could, I would definitely think about benching Antonio. If you've got like a Livramento on the bench that you could start, I think, or maybe I think he plays City this week. But someone like that, maybe like a Brandon Williams even. I think they have a decent fixture this week. I would strongly suggest playing them over Antonio because Antonio after this has a great run of games, and I could easily see him scoring again.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely one that I've got to consider. But again, it's like Ivan Toney. He's just stuck in my team at an awkward price point where if you want to downgrade, you go into a 4.5 and you can't really upgrade without, you know, costing you someone like Luke Shaw or someone like that. So definitely a tough one to pick with the striker situation. It's crazy. A week or two ago, we had a plethora of striking options to choose from. Now we've probably only got, you know, the 2 premiums, Kane maybe, and then maybe 1 or 2 other than that, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not ideal. I think one player who I would get in if I could is Callum Wilson. He's just so clinical. You know, if he's going to get a chance, he's going to score. So just gutted that he's been ruled out for a few weeks. I think his time frame to come back is similar to DCL's. So it's going to be a lot of options again in a few weeks. Yeah,
I mean, one to consider maybe for the meantime, I've just thought about it a little bit more. Maybe someone like Rondon at like 6 million could be an option, you know, as a placeholder almost for a week whilst Antonio's out. it's something to consider. But obviously, you know, with the situation, you could almost change the whole formation of your team anyway. I mean, Ronaldo could do the job up front and then maybe upgrade a midfielder here or there to, you know. But it's a really tough situation for a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah. Shall we move on to our UCL teams, because we only got 5 minutes left, so let's get them gone.
Yeah, let's get them going. Let me just get my UCL team up. So obviously the game is very similar to how the Euros set up, with the fact that you can get 2 captains in a game week essentially. So thank you to, I can't remember who commented it and reminded me of that, but they reminded me, you know, you can have more than one captain. But yeah, this is how I'm looking like. Obviously, me and Josh not taking it as seriously as the FPL sort of stuff. I made my draft team a couple of days ago. Didn't really look into anything, no stats or nothing. And then last night I've kind of looked a little bit more into it about who's like the better value players, who's actually starting. So this is my team at the moment. In goal, Edouard Mendy. Chelsea are great defensively, so I've doubled up on them defensively with Christensen in there as well. He's kind of like the midpoint defender. I think they're all priced at the same price point as they are in FPL. And then in defence, Mailer. I looked at him. He's better value than Gosens, 0.5 cheaper, and I think he probably gets the same amount of attacking returns. Acuna, again, 0.5 cheaper than Koundé, who I did have, and plays in a midfield role, which I'm really excited about. And then Rulisson as well. In the midfield, I've got Kavarev, or however you say his name, as a placeholder, basically. He's going to be subbed out. I can guarantee it. Bruno and Salah. And then Lukaku, Haaland and Depay. The plan is, if Lukaku doesn't get enough returns, Haaland will be my captain because he is inevitable in his scoring. Then on the bench, I've got Gundogan, who's played every single game so far this season for City. I think he's quite important in that team. And last year, got a lot of attacking returns in the Champions League. Mazraoui, I think is how you pronounce it. He is producing some insane XGI at the start of this season, and I'm really liking the look of him. I'm hoping with their group that he can produce something. And Alvarez as well. I know he's a starter for Ajax. Didn't really look too much into it. But yeah, that is my UCL team at the moment. Josh, should we go into yours?
Yeah, let's do it. Right, so yeah, I'm similar to Ben, really. Mendy in net, decent little player. I've literally just switched it around because I remembered as well, you can sub players in and out like the Euros one. I don't know how to say his name. Voba, maybe. He plays for Salzburg. He's a starter, £4 million, which is decent. Diego Carlos as well starting tonight, which is also good. Kimmich gets loads of points on this because you get points for ball recoveries and stuff like that. He's just so good. He gets lots of assists on set pieces for Bayern. Myler, as Ben mentioned, decent little player. Was a great asset in the Euro Fantasy, so hopefully he can replicate that on this Euro one. Champions League one, should I say. Llorente as well. I don't know where he's going to play in this Atletico team. We've seen him play up front, play in midfield, play at right back. I'm sure he'll score some points, though, for me. Pedri as well. We know he's going to play. He's played like every single game for Barca in like the last year in Spain. So he's a decent option. Bernardeschi started at the weekend, so I'm hoping he starts again against Malmo this week. Ronaldo's on the captaincy against Young Boys in literally 5 minutes' time. I'm excited to watch that one. Lukaku and Haaland up top. And again, like Ben mentioned, I'll just go from Ronaldo to Haaland if Ronaldo doesn't do well, which I can't see that happening tonight. Destinoglu, he is a £4 million playing goalkeeper. It is for Besiktas, but hey, it's what you've got to have there. Ferran Torres as well. Hopefully he starts at front as he's been doing in the Premier League. Trent as well. Again, Premier League proven, hoping he replicates it in Europe. And then Alvarez, as Ben mentioned, he's a starter for Ajax. I think almost half the game own him, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good team as well. I can see everyone having really similar front threes. Like Haaland is so highly owned by absolutely everyone, so you just know he's going to bag and everyone's going to be captaining him. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see. Again, that kind of rounds it up. Let us know what you think of our Champions League teams, whether they're going to be decent or whether we're going to stink up UCL this year. Of course, we've got the FPL League code just down below. It's been scrolling down below the whole time. And we've got a Champions League Fantasy League, haven't we? Yeah. They're linked to that. It'll be in one of our TikToks. Go check it out. yeah, there's a link to that, and yeah, just copy the league code and then paste it into the UEFA games, and yeah, you should be all sorted. But yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Ben,
I've been Josh.
and we'll see you guys
Later.